Stink TV.
Ralfy the plug is in the building.
His brother, Ralfy, they say he was like the reigning champion in non-affiliate fight nights.
Rambo don't got one of these. Or these. Or these. If he would have said it in front, I would have broke his face. Like, you know.
His brother, Ralfy, he got paused.
But it's like, bro, this ain't that tough. Like, love the internet. They love to like say things that they wouldn't say in person. In fact, me and Draco had our first case together.
Together at 11?
Yeah.
The 10 years thing was that. What was that?
I took 10, but
in today's video, we're gonna talk about Ralfy the Plug from the Stink Team, aka Draco the Ruler's brother. We're gonna break down his court cases, his early life, how he was charged with 11 separate counts of burglary and 11 separate counts of possession of a firearm. And on top of that, how he overturned 10 years in prison. But let's get into it. Ralphy's first arrest would be when they raided Draco's house. He was arrested on January 2nd of 2017, and he would be hit with 6 counts of possession of a firearm, 1 count of possession of an assault weapon, 2 counts of possession of ammunition, and 1 count of street terrorism. He would be the only one on this indictment hit with the street terrorism. But 3 weeks later, on January 20th of 2017, almost all these counts would be dismissed, except for the possession of an assault weapon. They would then give him a $75,000 bail, and he would post it on April 28th of 2017. But on June 6th of 2017, he would have this count dismissed. But even though they were all dismissed, 9 months later, they would be hit with another indictment. The DA would file this indictment March 15th of 2018. Ralfy was hit with 1 count of accessory after the fact, 1 count of possession of an assault weapon, 1 count of vandalism, 1 count of grand theft of a firearm, 1 count of burglary, and 1 count of dissuading a witness. And don't forget, they would get hit with this indictment March 15th of 2018. And 2 weeks later, on March 29th of 2018, Ralfy would be hit with his own indictment, which was 2 counts of burglary, 2 counts of credit card theft, 2 counts of grand theft, and 2 counts of attempted grand theft. So at this time, he was the only one in the Stink Team fighting multiple cases. And like we said, he was hit with one March 15th, and then the other 2 weeks later on March 29th. But it didn't stop there, because just 2 weeks later, on April 13th of 2018, they would hit him with another 2 counts on a separate case. And on this case, it would be 1 count of burglary and 1 count of grand theft. And if you think that's crazy, we're still not done with these cases, because 2 weeks after that, on April 26th of 2018, he would be hit with another case out of a different courthouse for 1 count of burglary and 1 count of theft again. So now at this time, he would be fighting 4 separate cases, including the Stink Team indictment. But then 4 months later, on September 24th of 2018, one of the indictments would be dismissed. Then he would go to court the next day, on September 25th of 2018, and the Stink Team indictment would be dismissed. And then he would go back to court again the next day after that, on September 26th of 2018, and one of the cases would be dismissed with the burglary and grand theft. But that's because a few days before this court date, on September 21st of 2018, they refiled the Stink Team indictment, and they would add a few charges to it. It would pretty much just be the same exact charges that they just dismissed, but they just put it all on one indictment. So even though they were dismissed, it's like it wasn't, because instead of 4 separate cases, now they just added all of Ralphy's cases to the Stink Team indictment. But 3 weeks after they filed the new Stink Team indictment, they would dismiss the last case that Ralfy had for the other burglary and grand theft. But like we said, they just added it to the indictment, so he still had to fight it anyways. And as you can see right here, Kels's case would be tried with Draco's and Ralphy's, so that means their cases wouldn't be separate. They were the only 3 tried together on the indictment. They would then have to sit for a little over a year, but on July 25th of 2019, he would be acquitted of the 1 count of vandalism. But on that same exact day, he would be convicted and found guilty by a jury of 4 counts of burglary, 2 counts of credit card theft, and 2 counts of possession of an assault weapon. He would then have to sit and wait until November 1st to hear the rest of the counts. And on November 1st of 2019, he would have the accessory after the fact dismissed, and he would also have the dissuading a witness dismissed, and a bunch of other counts. But he would take a plea deal on 2 burglaries. So Ralphy was found guilty on 6 counts of burglary, 2 counts of possession of an assault weapon, and 2 counts of credit card theft. He would also be sentenced that same day, on November 1st of 2019. He would get 2 years for the first burglary, 2 years for the second burglary, 3 years for the third burglary, 2 years for 1 count of credit card theft, another 2 years for another burglary, and then another 2 years for the other credit card theft, and then 2 years for the last burglary, and then 8 months for 1 assault weapon, and then 2 years for the other assault weapon. He would get a total of 10 years because some of them counts would be concurrent. But after sitting down for about 3 years, COVID would hit, and all the regulations would change, and the enhancements would drop. So then all his counts would pretty much become concurrent, and he would be released.
I was supposed to get out probably this year around this time.
So the 10 years thing was that. What was
I
that?
took 10, but I was in jail for like damn near 3 years, so
Right.
they doubled it up, then all the little enhancements, all that shit came off.
Right.
Forgot about that day. We out here now.
Yeah, definitely.
Draco and Ralphie would be released in 2020 because of COVID. That's when they were able to focus on their music and start to blow up outside of California. But unfortunately, on December 19th of 2021, Draco would lose his life. But since his last case, Ralphie would stay out of trouble, and he would focus on his music more and becoming an internet personality. I was already a fan of Ralphie, but doing this video made me respect him even more, because it just proves that he doesn't lie in his raps. And at one point, he was the real Flu Flamer. And I respect him even more because clearly he changed his life around. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all. It's Respectable Rants.